Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, we're in Philly. NXT is here, and Finn Balor is here. Finn, what's the haps?
The haps is NXT is here in Philadelphia. We had a great night last night here in the Tower Theatre, and we're looking forward to doing it again tonight.
I'm sensing an accent.
Yeah, that'll be Bray, County Wicklow, Ireland. So I've only been in the States for about not even a year now, so I haven't picked up any of the local lingo yet. But
How's it been living here? Obviously, I mean, you've been all over the world wrestling, and you have a major reputation for that. But what's it like now, this being your permanent residence? Well, Florida, obviously.
Yeah, it's actually quite daunting, you know, because being on the indie scene, like, from 14 years, I spent 8 years full time in Japan as well. So I literally had my last match in Japan. I want to say April 8th or something last year, and I flew straight to Orlando. So it was like flew from Tokyo to Orlando. So it was a big contrast in cultures and lifestyle and that. But
especially when you're landed in Florida.
Yeah, but all the states to pick.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If we had to saw off a state, I'm just keeping it real.
It'd be an easy one too.
Yeah.
That's you.
I'm just kidding.
That's you guys' opinion. No, but I had a lot of good friends there to help me adapt and adjust. Giant Bernard, who is Matt Bloom or Jason Albert in WWE. We were friends for a long time before in New Japan, and he helped me adapt very quickly. So he clued me in, and all the guys at the Performance Center, they've all been great, helped me adapt to the culture and the lifestyle here.
What type of decision is that to make? I mean, you were huge in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is probably worldwide. You could say it's the second biggest promotion. When you're talking globally, you started a group called the Bullet Club, which you don't know about that, huh?
Never heard of that.
No, yeah. It was like this huge thing that got so big that it's a Japanese thing, obviously, but American wrestling fans were showing up to American wrestling shows that had nothing to do with anything you were doing. And you weren't cool unless you're wearing a Bullet Club T-shirt. So when you're going, okay, here's the choice. This thing I've created that's actually catching on globally, I'm going to leave it for this opportunity.
The opportunity you're talking about, like with working with WWE, is something like that. Everyone starting their journey in pro wrestling kind of aspires to. And for me, it had been something that had been on the cusp for a couple of years. And it was something that I'd always kind of made the decision to stick with New Japan, because I felt like I had unfinished business there. I still had things I wanted to achieve.
So you could have come earlier?
There was discussions earlier, and there was opportunities that came up, but ultimately I decided to pursue what I was doing in Japan and continue the trend of stuff that I was doing there. And I think, like, every time I made that decision, it was the right decision, because my career grew, and the achievements that I was been fortunate enough to achieve kept kind of building and building, and I was on an upward climb with my career in Japan, and I just felt that I was kind of maybe pushing on in years, and maybe the opportunities to make an impact in the WWE might start to dry up. Right. And what better time to leave when you're in your absolute peak of your popularity in Japan. And it wasn't necessarily popularity, because we were working as a heel stable, but it was we definitely caused quite a stir, and I felt like I felt like it was time to make the move. And of course, I had a lot of kind of apprehension about leaving, because on one side I've got this great life where I've all my best friends, I'm in a stable with them. We've created something together that's catching on. I'm still being afforded time to go home to visit my family in Ireland, and see all my friends that I grew up with there. So I'm kind of living this double life of New Japan pro wrestler, and still kind of living like an ominous life in Ireland, like and being able to go hill walking or whatever I want to do, like and I'm sacrificing all that for an opportunity to come and train at the Performance Center. And I wasn't sure like how things would go, but you can't look back at life when you're or your career when you're 40 and go and go, oh, I wonder if I had maybe jumped on that opportunity when it came up. So I can honestly say, like, it's only 10 months since I made the move, and it's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we back that timeline up, too? Because for anyone that doesn't know your story, it's actually pretty interesting in the sense that you arrived in Japan when you were 24, correct? And then talk about that commute back and forth and really coming back to Ireland and being anonymous, but then being this star in Japan. But the commute in general and that experience for so many years, and also right on the scene, in your words, you were in some pretty shitty living conditions. It's just an interesting trajectory.
Yeah, well, you know, the commute wasn't until kind of the latter years in Japan when I built my popularity. When I first started in New Japan, I'd already done kind of 6 years around England in a small company called NWA UK Hammerlock, and I'd kind of, you know, I think, learned all I could learn there, and I kind of like craved for more, you know. So I decided to come to America, believe it or not. I had an aunt who lives in Boston. Big surprise, right? Irish auntie in Boston. And, you know, she was good enough to put me up, and I'd done some indies there, and a guy picked me up called Dave Marquez, who was associated with the Inoki Dojo in California. So he said, why don't you come out and train with us for a little bit? So I went and trained with the Inoki Dojo in California, who had a connection with New Japan. So after about 2 or 3 months of training in California, they shipped me off to Japan to train as a young boy in the dojo for 3 months. So, you know, I land in Japan. I've never used chopsticks before. I haven't a clue about the language. There's no iPhones at this time. There's no Wi-Fi, no Skype. So, like, I'm completely cut off from the outside world of what I know. Yeah, and I'm kind of, you know, just, like, plunged into this, like, completely foreign culture. And, you know, it helped me a lot because, you know, I submersed myself into culture, and, you know, the guys in New Japan were absolutely unbelievable. They treated me so well. You know, they took me in as one of their own, kind of retrained me from scratch. But of course, you know, there was all the chores that go with that of, you know, cleaning the ring, cleaning the dojo, washing the older wrestlers' gear, carrying the bags and stuff. But, you know, in return, you're paid with the greatest training experience on the planet, you know. Of course, that was just a 3-month kind of internship, which they extended to 6 months, which then eventually turned into 8 years, and the Bullet Club, and where we are now today.
We make our interns get us coffee, so it's not exactly the same.
What was the worst thing you had to do
Every
in
morning,
terms of that internship?
You know, nothing was really bad, because, you know, you're doing these things to achieve your goals.
Builds
you know,
character,
like,
totally.
And,
Better off for
but
it.
like something that, like, you know, we used to have to clean the toilet bowls and stuff every morning, you know, and like I'm talking like, you know, 20 stone. What's that, like 300-pound like wrestlers that, you know, use that every day in the dojo, you know. So
That sounds awful.
yeah,
I don't want character that bad. Like, I'm fine with the amount of character I have.
Yeah, no,
I don't
Sam
need to
doesn't
build
want to do
it
that
anymore.
at all.
Nope.
But then actually, can we flip sides here? Because then you later on, correct me if I'm wrong, is this years later, you're going to these sponsored dinners. Tell us what a sponsored dinner is in Japan.
yeah, these have kind of become.
This is years after the internship, right?
Yeah, well,
You gotta get a timeline going.
well, believe it or not, you know, because you're paying your dues so hard, the senpai wrestlers, which are the senior wrestlers, they actually take care of the young boys really well. So they will take you to sponsor dinners even when you're young, and, you know, you'll be you know, welcomed kind of to the culture by being, you know, force fed.
But what's a sponsored
drink
dinner?
and food. It's basically someone who's helped promote the show in the local town, or maybe just like a really super fan who has a lot of money, wants to take some of the wrestlers, normally his favorite wrestlers, out to eat, and it's just carnage. It's you know,
Things get real.
The reins are off, basically. Yeah.
And there's videos out there. I had Carl Anderson, who you used to work with in New Japan, on the wrestling podcast. And, I mean, there are guys that not only are taking you out and paying for your dinner and everything, but they're wanting to get slapped on the chest. they want to be a part of it so badly.
That's kind of a weird, like, request. Like, it's like kind of an
Hit me.
Yeah.
Hit me.
We're going to take you to dinner or everything, but we also want you to kick our ass.
Yeah, it's not something necessarily that I approved of, but it was something I think the Japanese
Cultural?
fans, the Japanese fans wanted to try and somehow, like, appreciate what we go through in the ring, and I guess that's you know, their way of maybe kind of wearing that badge of, you know, I could take a chop from
Whoever.
Yeah, you know.
The way I appreciate it as a wrestling fan is I'll watch a show and then I'll interview a guy and go, did that hurt when that happened? It looks like it did.
Yeah, there's got to be a less painful way to do it.
It always did.
Yeah. And then I go, okay, I can appreciate that. I believe you. That's as far as it goes. So you're kind of known in NXT for this pretty spectacular entrance that you do, only on the special shows. Yeah. Do you look at that? So you paint up your whole body, and it's something you were doing in Japan towards the end, too.
Yeah. Only with a sponsor dinner.
After sponsor dinners.
Right. He only paints for sponsors.
That's right. But you paint up your whole body. Your whole face is painted. Your torso is painted. You got a headdress on. You got this whole deal. It looks like it takes hours to prepare. You got a light show that goes around with everything. NXT is kind of a smaller scale of everything that happens in WWE. So the buildings are smaller. So everything is kind of this scaled down version of what could be when you get to a Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view. Like, do you have in your mind, okay, this is what this looks like here, but I'm already thinking of what a WrestleMania entrance would look like?
Honestly, I live every day, day to day, and I don't think, like, we got Albany tomorrow, and I haven't even thought of that. I don't even know if I have gear with me to work there. So no.
Gosh, definitely got half a bottle of paint here.
But you know, we're in Philadelphia tonight,
right?
And I have a funny feeling that the Philadelphia fans at the Tower Theatre might get to be introduced to the Demon.
You've been teasing that.
Yeah.
Well, now you have to commit.
Well, you know, I'm not one for commitments, but
you don't put something out on Twitter.
I've got a good tip that I'd say if you buy a ticket for tonight's show, yeah, you will witness something very special.
Right, especially because you already paid the paint lady, so it's better happen. So how do you...
Is there a trick to that? Let's go back to the entrance for a second.
Sure.
It's actually, I feel like it's like this hidden secret that most wrestlers don't take advantage of, and I feel like NXT does so well, is building on these characters and these epic entrances. Do you feel like that's like it's almost a hidden gem to really win over a crowd?
Well, I think, like, you know, as soon as you walk out the curtain, that's when you start. You know, that's go time. And, you know, for me, go time's about 3 hours before I walk out the curtain, and I'm trying to get in the zone and, like, think of what I'm going to do. With regards, you know, the Demon character and the paint, that's not something necessarily that I do just to please everyone. It's something that it helps me channel something that's much deeper inside. That me personally, as a human, I'm a very kind of shy, kind of introvert, and like even the fact that I walk out through the curtain to wrestle or perform
in very small pants,
yeah, is like it. Like, you know, when I go back, I can't believe I've done that, you know, and like I'm embarrassed to watch myself back. I won't watch this interview back. I won't listen to a podcast that I've done. Like, you know, I just cringe at everything. But something happens when, you know, the Demon is on, that I'm just able to flow better and
there's
express myself better.
You're not actually possessed, are you? Because
I wouldn't say I'm possessed, but I'm able to lose control more. And
there are demonic influences.
Yeah, there's something that's holding me back in this, I don't want to say human form, but, you know, as I am now sitting here,
yeah,
that when the Demon gets turned on,
right,
there's like the chains are off, you know.
Yeah.
How many people have you murdered?
Deep, yeah.
0.
Yeah. No, I mean the Demon.
10.
Yeah, 10. There's been 10, but they deserved it, all of them. You said that you like to like climb hills and stuff when you were in Ireland, and you could be anonymous and you get out there in nature and everything. Like, what do you do in Florida to kind of?
I know, yeah. It's kind of very claustrophobic again because I'm so used to traveling.
Yeah.
You know, and like I'll be back and forth from everywhere. You know, I'd still do the Independence in Scotland.
They have great drivers in Orlando, in the vicinity. So you should just, if you're used to traveling, just take the car out and just get out there.
Yeah, and you know that's another thing I had to adapt to too because
worst.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's another thing I had to adapt to too because, you know, I'd never driven a car before I came to the States.
What?
Yeah. You know, because I was 18 years old, I started going to England.
Do you have horses in Ireland? Did you?
Yeah, we got horse and carts, skateboards, BMX.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to get my Florida State driver's license.
Oh my
was
gosh, that's a
actually-
disaster.
Which was actually,
The Florida
You had to go to the
DMV.
Florida
I love
DMV.
Florida. I swear, I love
And,
Florida.
I actually had a bit of a fender bender in January.
We had to take your driving test, like at.
Yeah, I took my driving test that.
Wait, who was like your permit person? Who did you drive with?
Oh, I didn't have one. I got like a proper teacher. I went to a proper driving
okay.
school. Yeah.
He wasn't actually 16. He was a grown man. You could get a license. Like you didn't have to wait until he was 17. So who taught you how to drive?
Joshua Rivera. It was.
Shout out.
Yeah, if you're listening out there, Joshua, thanks
So
very
do you have
much
like
for
a
all
car
your help.
now?
Yeah, I got a lovely little Mini Cooper. That's my pride and joy, and I just buzz around Florida in it.
Yeah, like look at me drive. Is it great now that you finally know how to drive? Is it like what have I been missing?
You know, didn't really miss anything beforehand. You know, it's.
So what did you do in Japan? Was it just like dojo wrestling sponsor dinner?
Yeah. No,
Wow.
yeah, we get shipped around, you know, and by chauffeurs or on the company buses and stuff like that. So, obviously, there's a great public transport system in Tokyo too, and in Ireland.
Yeah.
So there was never really an issue or a need to.
Because when you hear stories about these like worldly wrestlers that have like the journeyman wrestlers, they say it's like you think about everybody cramming into a minivan, driving from city to city, and you're like, yeah, I got signed to a contract with WWE, and then I got a driver's license after that.
Yeah.
It's not the typical story.
Well, I was the one huddled in the back of the minivan.
Nah, you guys
the
drive
last
this.
14 years.
Nobody ever told you like, Finn, get a license. Like you have to drive at some point.
Well, there was no need, because there was no independence really in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really having a need to drive anywhere in Ireland. I could take the bus to the airport. As soon as I flew into England or Japan or anywhere I went, Germany, I'd get picked up and taken straight to the show. They'd drop me back off. Bob's your uncle.
I guess so. It drive me nuts though. Like just
Hate
like
to
I just wanna
switch
go to the
gears on
store.
your driving
Yeah,
soliloquy.
Well, I'm interested.
Wow.
Curious.
I have a question though before I don't get it in. Do you put a timeline? We were talking to Kevin Owens about, from where you've been in big, massive arenas, and then coming back down to NXT, which can be smaller at times, very small at Full Sail. Do you get frustrated? Or do
Yeah, to
you
go
feel-
from the Tokyo Dome to Full Sail is like a big leap.
It's actually a big challenge, and it kind of helps you reset. And I've been very lucky that I started in the UK when I was 18, like kind of worked up to bigger shows in the UK, then like reset, started on the smaller shows in Japan, worked up to the bigger shows, and now I'm resetting again. And everyone here at NXT, like we're all kind of striving to build this brand, and it is a brand now, and it's not a feeder system or a developmental system, and there's no such thing as a main roster. In my belief, I think they're all just different rosters, and this is the roster that I'm part of, and I want to be here, and I want to help it grow and blossom. And I think everyone kind of here at NXT really believes in what we're doing, and we're almost like on the cusp of kind of like a wrestling renaissance, so to speak, like in general. And I want to be Leonardo helping paint NXT.
You don't have a family or anything, right?
Pardon me?
You don't have a family or anything? Like you're not married or kids?
No, not at
Good.
all, no.
That's a good move. Where did you get the best response from females across the world? I want to know because females are different everywhere, and I find you to be a very handsome guy. Heterosexually and platonically, I can appreciate that.
Drive it home, Sam.
Well, that's how
Drive
I
it
feel.
home.
That's how I feel.
Wherever
Wherever you are, that's the place to be.
Yeah.
That's fast
You're
times.
gonna make me blush now.
And now we're just flirting. Katie, do you have a question?
Oh, things just got weird fast.
This is about wrestling.
No, it's about
Are you
us.
kidding
It's about
me?
human
It's Sam
beings.
Roberts' show. Whatever you signed up for, you never know what he's going to ask.
And if I've realized that you thought we were going to talk about wrestling, you're going to get something else thrown at you.
Exactly.
You do remember that takeovers on the WWE Network for $9.99 next Wednesday?
Wow, a
night?
Next
$9.99
Wednesday.
drop.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Just
Slow
trying to
clap
change
on
the
that.
subject. I was trying to change the subject.
NXT is on every Wednesday, and it's a hell of a show. your goal when you got to NXT to kind of abide by that thing, like you just said? You don't see it as a main roster versus NXT. You see it as different rosters. Did you look at it to say, okay, my challenge here is to make NXT as important as any other roster of wrestlers anywhere in the world?
Yeah, well, the way it was pitched to me by William Regal, who was one of the people who was very influential in me coming here, was don't look at NXT as developmental, look at it as a territory. And you're going into a new territory and you need to get over. And that's basically what I've kind of set my targets on.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to get over myself, Finn Balor, but I'm also trying to help the brand itself get over NXT.
Because the bigger the brand gets, the bigger you can get inside the brand.
We have to briefly, we're on our bucket list to get to lifestyle. What's it like on the road, and what are you eating? For somebody that's listening and saying, you know what, I want to be in good shape, but obviously on the road it's really tough. 3 tips.
Especially when you don't know how to use chopsticks in Japan. You must get hungry.
Yeah, well, in Japan, I was lucky enough that like a lot of the convenience stores would have little tins of tuna, or tuna, you call it.
That's right.
Tuna?
There you go.
I'm learning tomato. I say, but you say tomato.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Let's
But,
call the whole thing off.
Okay, yeah. But
The song.
yeah, I just eat I try to eat as clean as possible. It's actually a lot. I used to believe that it was hard to eat clean in Japan because they're such a carb heavy diet.
Yeah.
And I used to think like all those American guys like to complain about life on the road and not being able to diet and stuff, and it's difficult to get food. And since I've came here, it actually is more difficult.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just everything's. Even if you get say chicken, it's covered in sweet sauce and all stuff. So like you're getting carbs inadvertently through that, So and I just think like maybe the food is a little bit more processed than it is in Japan. So and of course then they have all these delicious protein bars that they're waving in front of you, like as if to say they're good for you, but they're like loaded.
Cookies and cream, protein.
So.
Do you give yourself a cheat day?
Believe it or not, my diet isn't too strict. I try and eat as healthy as I can. I get as many greens as I can, but if I need to cheat every day for the sake of filling myself full of nutrition, I will.
So it's more about you have to have a certain amount of calories inside.
Yeah, if there's an option to eat clean, I will eat clean, obviously. But if there's no other option and there's pizza, I'm like, oh.
But you're
well, there's no option. Oh dear.
You're in America now, so you have to have a guilty pleasure. It's like for us, it's the Wendy's No. 6 Spicy Chicken Classic.
Yeah.
With
She gets a
extra side of honey
D-Coke, I
mustard.
get a regular.
Right. What is your go-to, or has
Yeah.
that not been developed?
I don't have a specific go-to, but definitely a cheap meal would be pizza. I love pizza.
Yeah. That's good. It's and part of being in America now is you're in Florida too. You got to come to New York.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
That's actually pizza.
It's going to Albany tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess that's New York State. I don't know if they're known
It's
for
the capital.
pizza. Well, listen, Finn Balor.
We've time burglarized him.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out,
It's
man. Of
interesting.
course, as you said, what we're here to talk about is the fact that NXT TakeOver is next Wednesday on the WWE Network, that NXT is in Philly tonight, it's in Albany tomorrow. It's all over the place. Do you like that NXT is getting out on the road? Do you like that you get to do that, or would you rather just have your roots?
No. I gotta say, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Florida, as great as the Performance Center is, which it is incredible, I have been getting a little bit claustrophobic down there, and getting this opportunity. We've been to Ohio, we've been out to San Jose, now we're here in Philly, Albany tomorrow. Hopefully we can spread the brand across all the states and hopefully internationally soon too. So that's my target. Maybe bring NXT back to Europe.
Yeah. You get to rent a car?
No.
You didn't do it. It's exciting.
You can
Once
only
you get there,
drive
it's
on one
exciting.
side of the road. Let's not push it.
I learned on the wrong side.
Yeah. Hey, before he goes,
yeah.
we have a present for him.
We do?
We do. We
Yeah,
have,
we do.
We have a little box over there, Sam.
Oh, yeah, I brought it.
Yes. It was dropped off
This? The whole...
by someone.
This?
Yes.
Oh. This is from us.
No, it's not from us. It's not from us.
Oh, who's it from?
Okay.
It's a random fan.
Okay, there's
Oh.
no from on it, but I'll
No,
let
it's
you
not.
know.
It's not very formal, dude. We didn't wrap it.
It's literally just
Or-
a Kinder Egg.
Come on, that's awesome.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's 2 of them. It's not just one.
It's one for you and one for a friend. These came from Ireland.
Oh, man, I thought we had hit it off.
What? Oh, I got one of the eggs with the prize
I really
inside.
thought that something
Get
was
excited
happening
because
here.
1 in 3 is a Barbie toy. And just letting everybody know that these were not brought in by us because there's a $2,500 import fine. So it was a fan
Right.
that kindly, you know, he's like, I know he's homesick and I know he wants to be back in Ireland. So it was so nice
You know
for
who
them
did
to
it?
drop this off.
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens,
He
always
snuck
so
him in
thoughtful.
from Canada.
His family.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Well,
very
congratulations
thoughtful and
on this thoughtful gift. I thought we had hit it off, but apparently.
Well, that'll be a treat for myself after tonight's show when I beat Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship.
Because what's inside there is a championship belt. Just saying.
Or a little princess.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.